We are now less than a week and a half away from Selection Sunday and the reveal of the bracket. Johnny Sports Network here to provide you with my latest bracketology update. And we are going to get the first tickets punched to the big dance this weekend. And that is when you know the NCAA tournament is right around the corner. Once we see these automatic qualifiers get their tickets punched to the tournament. And this weekend, we are going to get tickets punched from the OVC, the Big South, the MVC, the Atlantic Sun, and the Summit League. And this week is the time where if you haven't watched these mid-major teams yet this season, you got to start doing it now. Because a couple of those teams are going to inevitably bust your bracket. And something I haven't done for bracketology yet is talk about the one seeds. And I feel like the one seeds, the two big questions for it. What order are the one seeds going to be? Because three of the four one seeds, it's a foregone conclusion they'll be a one seed. Even though with Auburn's loss the other night on the road to Texas A&M, they're still going to be a one seed. The question is, are they definitely going to be the number one overall seed in this tournament? Duke, no matter what happens this weekend against North Carolina or in the ACC tournament, they'll be a one seed. Houston, the same deal. They'll be a one seed. But the fourth and final one seed is going to come down to either Tennessee, Florida, or Alabama. And honestly, very fitting that all three of them are in the SEC, the most competitive league in college basketball this season. And to really simplify it, I do feel like if one of those three win the SEC tournament, they'll be that fourth one seed. But if Auburn or somebody else wins the SEC tournament, then whoever the committee says is that fourth one seed, when they do the top 16 reveal, that's who it's going to be. And the closer we get to Selection Sunday, the thinner the margin is for the teams on the bubble. And according to Joe Lunardi, his last four byes: Baylor, San Diego State, Georgia, and Indiana. Baylor, a team that you would be really surprised is in the bubble conversation at this point in the year. San Diego State, the same thing. Baylor and San Diego State, very good history at making the NCAA tournament. And Baylor, more often than not, early exits in the tournament. San Diego State, they have made some good runs in the past, but both in the bubble conversation. Georgia finds their way into the last four byes after the biggest win of the week, an upset victory against Florida at home. Indiana, a team that I feel like wasn't doing themselves any favors a few weeks ago, but now they're in a position to make the tournament despite Mike Woodson not returning next season. His last four in: Ohio State, Arkansas, Nebraska, and Boise State. And this is being recorded Thursday afternoon, so this hasn't been updated on the ESPN website yet. But the other night, a very huge game for both Nebraska and Ohio State, as that game went to double overtime. Ohio State winning that game in what was a very controversial ending. As Nebraska, about 3-4 weeks ago, they looked like they were safely in, but now they are at risk of missing the tournament completely. Ohio State has a big game this week against Indiana. That's one of the marquee games of the week for the bubble, and perhaps maybe the biggest game. His first four out: Oklahoma, Xavier, North Carolina, and Texas. Oklahoma and Texas, both in the SEC, the most competitive league in the country this season. North Carolina, with their brand, them being a blue blood, in danger of missing the tournament for the second time in the Hubert Davis era. And they extended him recently. Xavier, a team that they have made runs in the past. And the next four out: SMU, Cincinnati, Villanova, and Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a team that I felt like had upside to be in the second weekend of the tournament at the beginning of the season. But now, in that next four out, according to Joe Lunardi, Villanova, a team that for the second season in a row, it looked like that they were completely done, but then in the beginning of March, they're still in the conversation. And Villanova, I think, is a candidate to be a bid stealer this season. And I am going to go back on what I said earlier about Indiana, Ohio State being the biggest game this weekend for the bubble. But Oklahoma and Texas face off on Saturday night. And both of them right now in that first four out, according to Joe Lunardi. And a win is going to be massive for whoever is on the winning end of that game, as there is more of an opportunity for the SEC tournament next week, as we don't know what the committee is thinking as far as which teams are where. We can only project at this point. And here's to make this even more of a pivotal matchup. ESPN 9 hours ago, according to Joe Lunardi, Xavier's win against Butler moved Xavier to the last team in, and Oklahoma's huge win against Missouri moved them to the first team out. North Carolina, the second team out. And to reiterate what I said earlier, what I was looking at just now for his bubble watch, the bracket that Joe Lunardi makes, it wasn't updated on the ESPN website, but a post from ESPN 9 hours ago, when I'm recording this, made that exact statement just now, what I said. North Carolina, they can also shock the world and upset Duke this weekend. Upsetting Duke, that would be huge for North Carolina's confidence going into the ACC tournament. But if I had to choose who I would have in my last four in, out of all the options between last four in, first four out, and next four out, I would say Ohio State belongs in there. Oklahoma belongs in there. I would give the nod to Boise State, and then I would have Xavier as that last team in. And then I'd have Arkansas, Nebraska, North Carolina, and Texas on the outside looking in. So I do think the next four out, according to Joe Lunardi, I think it's appropriate that they are in that next four out right now. But there is still a lot of basketball between now and Selection Sunday. So all these teams in the bubble can do is just focus on your game and just win basketball games. Because all this pressure of the bubble goes away if you win your conference tournament. You get the automatic qualifier. And with that, the stage is set for the rest of the week and going into conference tournament time next week. I am not 100% sure if I'm going to do a bracketology update to set things up for conference tournament week, but if I do, look for it on Monday afternoon or early Tuesday. And that is all I have for you today. Enjoy college basketball the rest of this week. And if I do not do another bracketology update, the next college basketball content that I do, at least video-wise, is going to be the bracket.